Hello, everyone. It is Suzanne. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another session of Mindset Mastery, Fit, Fab, and Fulfill Mindset Mastery. And I see, oh my gosh, I see Mr. Anthony Penn. How are you? If you can hear me, let me know. Just say, yes, girl, I can hear you. Coming in loud and clear. Just type something in the comment section to let me know you are able to hear me, see me, all that wonderful stuff, so we know we are good to go. I got some love, so that's like a good thing. Who else is out there? Who else am I seeing? So we're gonna give a moment and wait for some wonderful people to chime in. Today we are going to be talking about influences and negative or positive. What exactly is influencing you, your conversation, your thinking, your actions, your results? That is what we're going to be talking about today. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So welcome, Mr. Penn. It's great to see you joining us today. And who is our other beautiful sister that is here with us? So yeah, make a comment and let me know you can hear me, you can see me. Type something in the comment section. Yes, girl, I can hear you, whatever it is. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am, because I see some new people. My name is Suzanne Hart. I hail from Ontario, Canada. I am known as a Mindset Mastery Mentor. I truly believe that how we think, how we manage our emotions, our habits, our communication have a great impact on how we influence others, our environment, the success, everything we desire to achieve in the world. So it really is up to us. So part of what I do is I have you help you examine your own level of personal mastery so that you can get out of your own way, if you will, and start to do things differently. So today we're going to be talking about your influences. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We're going to be talking about your influences. So before we get started, if you are new, let us know where you're calling in from, where you're chiming in from, and type, where you are, what you do, because you never know who might be watching this replay, and I might reach out to you because you are in the profession that they are seeking to learn something about. So definitely let us know. The other thing I'm going to ask you to do is, if you're listening to this live or you are listening to this as a replay, when you hear value, and I trust that you will, share this information with 5 people. That's the magic number. 5 people, bless 5 lives. I truly believe, and as we know, knowledge is power, and knowledge is more powerful when it's shared. So for me, one of the reasons I teach is because every time I teach, I learn, grow, and expand. But also when I pass information on, it just blesses other people's lives. So if you're here and you're joining, and I see Cindy joining in. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Comment if you can hear me, see me, Sin. I've been trying to get everybody to comment, but they're a little quiet today. So if you, please share. That's really what I wanted to ask you. Share with 5 people, bless 5 people's lives with this information. So today we're going to talk about influences. So when I say the word influence, what comes to mind for you? What do you think of it when you say the word influence? When I thought about it, I thought of having influence, right? And we all want to have more influence. We want to have more impact in the world. So the first time I heard it, I actually thought of having influence, right? The influence I have on others. But today we're going to be talking about not just the influences you have on others, but what exactly is influencing you, whether you know it or not. What is influencing you? What has been influencing you over time, and what is influencing you today? And is that influence moving you where you want to go? Or is it having you sitting still, or maybe on the decline and pedaling backwards? A lot of times it has a lot to do with the influence. So they say that environment is stronger than willpower. Hello, Stan, how are you? They say that environment is stronger than willpower, and And so really what we're going to begin to do is we're going to begin to examine what's in your environment and how it is impacting who you are, how you show up. Hey, Lisa, how are you? Welcome. I love Ms. Lisa Don Reese. Good to see you. So what has influenced you? Let's start with by just considering this. Have you ever met someone who they walk through life with their cup half empty? So the way they look at life. So if you think of the glasses that they look at life through is negative. They see the problems, they see the challenges, they see the stuff that is not good. And when something happens to them, they are often the victim of their circumstances, right? And you kind of wonder what's going on in their world that is occurring. Then you'll have people that will go through life and they are like sunshine and rainbows. And no matter what's happening, they are beaming. They see their cup is always full. They see the end of the rainbow. Everything is positive, uplifting. They see the good in everything, right? And the question is, what is influencing their life? So influences are the things that occur around you that impact you, right? Whether you are aware of it or not. So to every week before we do the live, half empty individuals. Yeah, they're cup half empty. That's right. So every week before we do the live, one of the things we do is we put out a survey and we ask people what is influencing them. And, I was happy to see that in our group, a lot of people were influenced by the books they read, and they had a lot of positive influence. But also what people looked was that they were influenced by the TV, they were influenced by the news, they were influenced by their peers, they were influenced by books and audios, they were influenced by all these different things. And really what we want to do today is we want to begin to examine what is influencing you. So let me just share a little bit about how I got present to my influences. So a lot of my stories start back about 16 years ago, because that's when the shift in my life began to happen. And that is really when I began to take a look at what was going on for me. So at that time, I was really in a full-blown pity party. And I'll just be totally honest, totally transparent. I was in a full-blown pity party. Woe is me, violence, orchestra, the whole thing. If I could have wine and invite friends, I kind of did that. And really the question I had to ask myself, what is influencing me, right? And I didn't really know to ask that question, but in hindsight, if I looked at my environment, it made sense that my actions, my behaviors, my attitude, my mood was reflective. So let me give you a little lay of the land at that time. So I was the crisis manager of one of the largest drop-ins in the downtown core of the city of Toronto. I went to work, and every day we saw all the challenges in the city. We actually serviced all the underserved, and we serviced everybody that no one wanted to service. So if you can think about it, the influences in my life were negative. They were all the challenges, people dealing with adversity, people who were at the bottom out. And I went to work to these negative stories all the time. When I got home, if I think of my neighborhood, it was TV, sitting on the stoop, having some drinks, no positive stimulation, and really talking about how challenging and difficult life is. And then I was at a point in my life where I was just so tired that I would go home and sit on the couch and watch TV, and I'd watch negative news, and I'd watch TV drama, and I'd watch a CSI, and I'd watch all these things. Do you guys get a picture of my influences? And really, I would sit there and I would take all this in, not really aware of the impact it was having on my attitude, the impact it was having on my energy, the impact it was having on how I was seeing the world, the impact it was having on my finances, the impact it was having on what I thought was possible for myself. I had no idea of what the impact was. And truly, when I look back, the peers, the influences in my life were people who were content with where they were, and had not so positive money conversations, particularly in my workspace. And that's not positive or negative. It was just a what, so I know, wow, right? And so that was my life. And I will tell you, I was truly miserable. And I was miserable because I knew I was capable of more, but I felt stuck. And so part of what I want to ask you is, have you examined what's influencing you? Think of what you watch on TV. Think of the books you read. Think of the people you spend time with, whether that be family, friends, peers, coworkers, colleagues, right? Think about the music you listen to. Think of who you follow on Facebook, what you watch on Facebook, what stops you on Facebook. Think of all your social media platforms, and now you get a great idea of your influences. So this is why this is so important, because oftentimes when people want to make change, they go and they make change in terms of, they decide they want to make change and they go, I'm going to change my behaviors. But they go and they maybe start something new. They go on maybe it's a diet to change their health. It may be they go out and they decide they're going to start a business. Whatever it is, they go and make these changes. But oftentimes the changes are short-lived and they fail, and they think the failure is because they don't have the capacity, they don't have the skill set, they don't have the talent, they don't have the willpower, they don't have. And what they haven't looked at is, what's my environment saying about you, about me, about you? What's it saying? So my story continues. So January, I think it's about 2004, 2005, I take a flight to Dallas to go to this conference. And one of the speakers there, I went to see actually Jerry Clark speak. So yes, Lisa, I was in Dallas and I went to see Jerry the Rhino Clark. And Jerry, I want to go see him because he produces with ease. Jerry just seems to be in flow. Jerry just seems to have success just raining from the sky. And I was curious as to why this was happening with this man. And one of the things that Jerry started talking about, and it was the first time I had somebody actually point out to me, was the impact of our influences. And what he said was, everything is energy. And I was like, okay, everything is energy. And he said, but whatever energy that you're spending your time with is where you're vibrating. And he says, so and positive thoughts and positive energy vibrate really high, and negative thoughts and negative energy vibrate pretty low. And he goes, and if you go to places day in, day out, where the energy is negative, it's stagnant, that means people aren't growing, it's not positive, you're talking about negative things, that's what you're going to attract into your world. So think about me. I'm financially upside down. I don't like my job. I'm not feeling tired well. I'm exhausted. I'm having a full-blown party. And this is my moment where I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm taking a personal inventory of my situation, right? And then he began to point out that whatever influences you, right, impacts your thoughts, your thinking. What you think about impacts your feeling, your emotions. What happens with your emotions impacts your actions, and those actions impact your results, right? And he basically said the secret to his success was he made sure that whatever influenced him was high vibrational, high energy, positive stuff, and it allowed him to communicate out positive stuff. And he said what was influencing was influence his thinking, which was influencing his emotions, which was influencing his actions, and therefore he was having these amazing results. So I went home and gave my job notice. I went home and I also gave my husband notice. I went home and I gave a lot of notices. And I stopped doing a bunch of things. And the reason being was I got it for the first time. I got that what was truly influencing me was what was creating how I was feeling about my life. What was influencing me was creating what I thought was possible for myself. What was influencing me was creating this feeling of hopelessness that I was living into. So I gave notice that I was going to leave my job in 6 months. I gave notice that I was going to dissolve my marriage 6 months later, and not positive or negative. It was just exactly what I needed to do because we weren't going in the right direction. I also stopped hanging out on the stoop where I lived, and not because the people weren't nice. It was because they were living status quo, and status quo wasn't serving me. So I decided I needed to shift that influence. I turned off the TV. I actually cut cable for myself. And then when I moved out on my own, I cut cable. I still don't have cable today. And I'm very selective as to what I watch, right? Because whatever comes in impacts what's going out. And then I began to attend courses, programs, and meet people that were doing the things that I really wanted to do. So I changed my circle of influence so I could be influenced by people that were living a better life than me, a more expanded life than me. I changed my influence to people that inspired, and some of them just awed me. And as soon as I began to change those influences, my life began to shift. Now, what was interesting was that if I look back in those days, I would look at my job and I'd be upset about my financial situation, right? I wanted a raise, I wanted more money, I wanted to work less time. As soon as I began to change my influence and spend time with more people and start reading different books and whatever, suddenly I started thinking, I don't need this job. I can go make my own money. I started thinking the economy doesn't matter. I understand from what I'm reading that I can shift and I can create my own economy, and there's opportunities in the down economy. So I began to think differently because what I was taking in was influencing me differently. I began to look more at my health and wellness and my nutrition, and I got back into the things I used to do, reading the things I used to eat, eating the same things I used to do, and hanging out with people that were all health-minded. And suddenly my health shifted, and I was energized and full of life and feeling younger and looking younger. But really what I shifted was not so much my knowledge, but what was influencing and activating that knowledge. Right? So I started spending time with different people, reading different things, doing different things. And suddenly things began to shift. And then I started experiencing the magnetism of influence. What that means is that my influence began to change, which began to change my thoughts, what I thought was possible for me. Because my thoughts began to change, I began to feel better about what was possible. And because I started feeling better, my actions were now one of looking for the positive. I want you to get this, of looking for the positive, looking for possibility, looking for what I could do versus what I can't do. And as I began to look, it actually determined my behaviors. And from that moment, life began to shift. Life began to take a total turn. And what was amazing was that it turned like in 6 months, right? When the minute I shifted my environment, I shifted all sorts of things, my life turned in 6 months. It was rapid. And then it progressed really quickly. And then this was the interesting thing. In many ways, I outgrew some of my influences. And I really want you guys to get this, because you see, this is what I really began to understand for myself. Just because you shift your influences today and you start and you create a new peer group and you create a new environment and you start doing different things, you're going to grow and expand. Think of it as a fishbowl or a fish pond. And they say that the fish will grow to the size of the environment they're in. So if you put a fish in a small bowl, they will grow to the size of that bowl. Right? So what happens is once I got this influence thing, I put myself in an environment where the influencers were bigger than me. And then I rapidly grew. And then I realized I became a big fish in that environment. And so now I could sit there and rest on my laurels and say, this is nice. But if I wanted to continue to grow, I had to jump into a bigger bowl. and find bigger influences that would impact me in a different way. And so I did. And so part of growth is really always checking in on what's influencing you. And are those influencers causing you to grow and become more, or are they causing you to stay exactly the way you are? So this is one of the indicators for me. I have, and Cindy's heard me say this. I like to live my life kind of afraid. And I don't mean afraid as in, ooh, I don't want to do that, but kind of on the edge of, ooh, my stomach's a little flippy floppy. I'm a little nervous because then I know I'm growing. And I know that I'm in the right environment because my influencers are causing me to become more. They're challenging me. They're pushing on me, and they're inspiring me and pulling me into a new type of action. And so for me, when I examine what's influencing me, what I'm really looking for is, are the influences calling me to become more? Right? Are they calling me to become more, or am I resting at where I am? And so I have learned that if I am not being called to become more, I'm stagnating. And I've also learned that stagnating is not standing still. It is declining, right? And so for me, it's always what's influencing me, who's influencing me, what are the things that are influencing me, and it's everything. So if you're a part of the 6 a.m. club, you'll notice that we change up the workouts every few weeks because that workout is influencing you. And once that influence on your body gets comfortable, you are more likely to plateau. And a plateau is just, ooh, you got to change it up. So we change it up, and then everybody's like moaning and groaning. Oh my God, right, Cindy, this morning, moaning and groaning. It's so uncomfortable. What are we doing? And then we get comfortable, we get into the groove, and then it's time to change the influence. It is the same thing with the books you're reading, right? I like to rotate my books, and I am an avid reader. So, I think we're in month 5. We're just starting month 5. I've already read 7 books in the first quarter of the year. And it is really about just feeding myself. And some books I keep on my desk and I study and I go back to and I write and I take notes from. But it's like influences. It's not okay to read one book. It's not okay to read the same book over and over again. I have revisited books because as I grow and I go back and read books, they have a different impact on me. But it's really, okay, so what's growing me in those areas? Even events that I attend, the events that serve me in one season of my growth in business are not the events that are going to serve me in another season. So truly, it is really examining what is impacting and influencing your life. And I have come to recognize that I am as big as my influencers, right? I will grow to the extent of the influencers that are in my life. This is the final thing I want to say, and is to also guard your environment. And what I mean by that is you can have a person, an event, something come into your space and shift your environment on a dime, right? So for me, it is really important that the influencers that I let into my personal space, into my consistent space, are all positive and supportive. Now, I have people who are going to tell me the truth, but they're going to tell me the truth and make sure I'm left whole and complete. I have people who are going to coach me and demand more of me, but they're going to do it in a way that leaves me whole and complete. I have people that are just there to support me and lift me up. So part of it is really guarding your influences. So one of the rules when you come to Suzanne's house is I ask people to leave their baggage on the doorstep. And as soon as they step in through my front door, they're positive, uplifting people that are ready to challenge each other, that are ready to grow. And even if they bring in stuff that they want to work on, they're not bringing it in from woe is me and just whine and complain. They're bringing it in from we're into this conversation because I'm seeking a transformation. I'm seeking a new way of looking at things. I'm seeking insight. I'm seeking growth. I'm seeking I'm seeking more. I'm seeking to become more. I'm seeking to overcome something. That's why we're going to look at it. And so, it's really holding your spaces around you so that you're managing at all times what's influencing you. Because one of the most important real estate we got is here, right? It's between our two ears. And it's what it takes in and what it files, and how what it files is pulled out at the weirdest and oddest times. So you want to make sure that whatever gets filed in those filing cabinets in your head are valuable and useful for you. They're valuable in such a way that when you pull them, you're not pulling them and going in the wrong direction. You're pulling them and they're propelling you. So what do you guys, give me some comments. What I see Dawn says, nice. She's saying, I love this. Cindy's like half empty individuals. The cup half empty individuals. You want to stay clear of them. And the other part is that it's okay to clear people from your world. It's okay to limit time from your world, to limit time with certain people. And this is the thing for me. I have learned that as I limit time with people, it's not good or bad, right? It's not good or bad. It's not positive or negative. It is the what so. And what it really means is I'm accepting of who someone is and who someone is not. I want you to really hear this. I'm accepting of who someone is and who someone is not. And if I don't end up spending time with them, it's not really about them. It's really about me choosing to be in alignment around what I value. And if my values and their values don't line up, then I'm going to probably limit my time. But it's not about them. It is really about who I'm committed to being in the world and who they're committed to being in the world. And me not attempting to control who they have a right to be, but me living powerfully into who I am committed to being and allowing them to live powerfully into who they're committed to being. And therefore, it's actually honoring the person and sometimes blessing and releasing someone and saying, you've got a life to live, I've got a life to live, and our paths are different, right? And what's important to us, those influencers are a little different, and that's totally okay. So if this is of value to you and you want to make sure that you get more, we are here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I know there's a number of you that when you miss it, listen to the replay, and thank you so much for your comments, your feedback. So yeah, we will continue to do that, but we are here live Thursdays at 7 p.m. Next week, I will be out of the country. I'll be in Costa Rica hanging out. So I will do my best to go live. So I got to check out internet and how that all works and if I have a strong enough signal, but I will be live on Facebook probably at this time. I might just pop on. So look for me and I'll share with you what's going on while I'm there. In the meantime, if you like what you're hearing, first thing I'm going to ask you is share it to your page and bless your community and bless your followers with it. If you have a friend and you think, oh my gosh, this is so important for them because possibly what's influencing their life isn't serving them and they need to hear this, share it with them. And if you want to continue to participate, join the Fit, Fab, and Fulfilled Facebook page, the Facebook group, and also put challenge in the comment section so we know who you are. So if you write challenge in the comment section, I'll know who you are and I'll know you're one of the people that follow our lives, and we will make sure and be in communication with you when things happen. So a week ago, I did a mastermind. And I heard from some people that were on it. It was mind-blowing. It rocked their world. And I gave them an insight to what it's like to participate in a mastermind with me. I run a full year mastermind that's ongoing. So people wanted to find out what that was like. So I gave them a taste of that. We will be putting those out every probably once or twice a month, and it's a limited seating. So we send it out to people who are on our list, who have put challenge in the comment section. And we send it out to those people first, and we reach out to a few people, and then you get to spend 90 minutes with me. And it's an interactive process, and we actually go to work on transformation, masterminding, looking at things, shifting the way you look at the world. So if you want to make sure that you are part of that community and getting part of those insights and information, definitely write challenge. So this is what I'm going to leave you with. I truly believe that every single person on this planet has a brilliance, a gift that they were called to bring to the world. And oftentimes what pulls it out of us is who's influencing us. So earlier today, I was speaking with Mr. David Wood. So David, love you. Thank you very much. David was one of my mentors. He was actually the person who started me on my speaking journey and helped me cultivate this craft. And I called him, one, to say thank you, because he had such an impact, and he was a big influencer in my life for about 4 to 5 years and continues to be so. But what he called out of me was the capacity to do what I do today, which is to speak and train. I knew I loved it, but I didn't know to the extent that it was something that I was gifted at. And it was only when I started working with David and he reflected back to me what was possible that I actually accepted the gift and started to cultivate it. So every one of us has that in us. I don't know what it is for you, but I will say to you that it's often the environment that you put yourself in that will help call it forth. And it's never an environment where you're living a status quo. It's never an environment where you're not growing. It's an environment where you feel challenged because your influencers are demanding more of you. So my ask of you is to put yourself in an environment where you're the smallest fish in the bowl, and give yourself the opportunity to grow and expand. Because when you do, somewhere in that, you will meet the next best level of yourself. You will find a new level of brilliance that will awe and inspire you. I truly believe that the first person each of us are responsible to inspire each day is ourselves. Because if we're inspiring ourselves, because we're usually our toughest critic, guaranteed we're inspiring someone else in the world. Be the lighthouse in your world. And that requires that you commit to becoming more. So everyone, have a blessed evening. I will see you back here next Thursday with a new topic, and actually the following Thursday for sure. Next week I'll be in Costa Rica, but we will see you. And take care. Continue to comment. I'll jump on and respond to all the comments. Blessings, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.